All right, so I'm gonna now just go through basically the full menu, show you how I set it up and tell you why. So let's zoom in here. Okay, all the way from the beginning, but we may have to backtrack a couple times when we change a couple settings later on. So here I have set image quality card 1 to RAW, which is amazing. We have CF Express now. I was originally just using SDs for a long time, using the CF Express as a backup for JPEGs. It was more like an internal storage, which you could do that. The reason I did that was because I was able to just have the SD card and plug it straight into my computer, which was super convenient. But the more I used CF Express Type B and I saw how fast it was to offload, super nice. So yeah, talking too much. Let's get through this. All right, so we have these two set here. RAW, you want to disable this. This will prevent you from being able to shoot anything past like 1 frame per second. And this allows you to, like, I think do some post work with some post software that you'll probably never use unless you're like a, you know, you photograph watches or something like that. I don't know. All right, cropping full, that's good. Okay, next we're gonna go, none of these, ISO settings. I set the range in here. You're gonna go 50 to, I won't go past that, so I'll set it there and then press OK. Auto range, you can pick this, whatever you think suits you. You know, I could take it to 6400, probably be okay. Minimum shutter, don't touch. Okay, let's go back. And then anti-flicker off. You can turn this on if you're starting to get a bunch of flickers and test it out and see if it's working for you or if it's, you need it or not. Okay, there we go. External speed light control, I don't touch that. Don't touch metering, don't touch that either. Color mode, I put to neutral. And then I like to go in info and I customize mine a little bit. I just add a little bit of saturation and color tone. What this does, it allows you to have a little more of a pop on your JPEGs only. And so if you want that in the viewfinder, kind of gives you a little more of like contrast and color, you can do that. It's totally optional. I don't change this, I don't change this, I don't change any of these. Okay, most of these are going to pertain to your JPEGs. So I shoot RAW and JPEG is a backup. White balance, you're always changing that. I will generally shoot on cloudy all day, but I have it set to studio lights or daylight for my studio lights. I don't use any of these here. Multiple exposure I use now and again, but rarely. I might just do it in post for fun. And then drive mode. If you have that raw initial thing set, you will only get like to here and to here. You won't get high speed. So I couldn't tell you these exact. I'm guessing this is like 5, 10, and 12. I can't remember what these speeds are, but this is pretty much all I use here unless there's a first kiss or proposal. I'll jump to here. So right there. And then occasionally I'll just take a family photo with a timer, and that's how you find that. Okay, interval timer is off. You could go in and I think set intervals, which is kind of cool if you want to do a time lapse. Silent shutter function off. So if you wanted to use electronic, you could turn off the sound, I think is what that's for. So I do electronic first curtain. This is off, okay, in case I don't have a card in, which 17 years in, you still do that now and again. Image stabilizer mode, don't change that. Image review I turn off. That's just very annoying to me, but that's just me. Display simulation, that's just set as is. These are all set as is. You can customize the quick controls. All I did in the quick controls, let's jump to that really quick, is I removed the quality, so you can't accidentally change the quality. So if you had an old D750, I think it was, that was an easy thing to do. And big dumb hands might bump that. I do disable the touchscreen so that doesn't happen, but you never know if you're going to hand your camera off to someone what they might accidentally do. Okay, AF area, I moved generally to here. I might move it around now and again, but that's generally where it's at. This here is going to pertain to tracking. So if that focus point is somewhere, it'll track whatever it is, and that can get a little annoying because it really depends on what you want. So generally I'll turn it off. That way, whenever I put that focus point somewhere, it's going to stick to it. But if you're doing a lot of movement, you want to turn it on. Okay, movie, don't have that engaged. Okay, here people. Later on, you'll see that I did disable auto, animals, and vehicles just so it's not an option, so I can toggle through it quickly. We have eye detection, auto, register people. Okay, so I didn't change any of that. Didn't change any of this. Didn't change any of this. I limited AF methods. I just turned these ones on the bottom off, but you can limit the ones you want to limit. Orientation, I have to only focus point. I don't want it to change the focus area. So that means when you move your camera vertical or horizontal, it will go, and it is kind of nice to have that. Because generally when you're using vertical, your subject's head is usually in the top third versus the middle or top third of the horizontal. So limit subject detect, I did that here. So I got rid of animal, car, and auto. And I'll tell you why later, because I toggle through them. Don't do anything here. And I have focus peaking on, just low and red, for if I have to manual focus on rings. Focus guide actually I usually have on. That's kind of nice to have. And then what that will do is give you like a little triangle thing that tells you your focus point is in focus. Okay. All right, don't touch anything in here that I remember. Yeah. Always keep it on airplane mode to save battery life. I don't see that here. Where's that? Yep, there we go. All right, yeah, if you're not on airplane mode, your battery will probably cut a third at least. Okay, here we go. Okay, record. Okay, here I have it record separate. I don't want to record separate on video. I record separately on the photo, and then record standard. This allows you to write to 2 cards, and so that way in the beginning you could see where I had 1 card set to RAW, 1 set to JPEG. When I go playback, I make sure I've turned info and priority card number 1. That's just always nice to have for photo and video. That way you're not looking at the wrong card, which has the JPEG or no video file, because this will record to the CF Express IP. So, and you can rename your folder if you want. I only have one R62, so it doesn't matter to me what it's called. These are all set to what they were set at. So format your card there. Auto rotate, yeah, none of this has been changed. This is the time and date of this recording. Happy December. The elf showed up today. Elf on a shelf, if you don't know. Lucky you. All right, disable the beep. That's annoying, so I turn it off. Screen brightness set to auto, and 4 is just default. Yeah, none of this has changed. None of this has changed. Shut down, yeah, open, close, that's fine. If you find that your camera isn't turning on fast enough for you, you may turn this off. It might turn on a little faster. The other thing to note is I pretty much guarantee when you fill these cards up in these cameras, the more photos you have, the longer it takes to turn on. So I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, this here is where you're going to load this settings if you don't want to go through all the steps. You click here and you go load from card. So you put it on an SD card, the file, it's a CDS file. I'm going to save it to the card for you guys right now. We'll save it, okay? And you'll see that was the file name right there, cam set 02. Okay. Next up, we have battery info. We don't change anything in here. You can check your firmware. This is new, and I'm pretty sure this is the most up-to-date firmware. I use the EOS utility to update my firmware, so you basically have to download it and then load the file. Yeah, which is always a challenge. Okay, customize shooting buttons. Ready? This is fun. So this is the shutter button, obviously set to shutter. Dual function, if you click on this, and then if you click info, I've turned off all these other dual function things, and I set it to this one here. And what this does, this allows me to turn on and off. Oops, there we go. If we do it, we turn on and off. Where is it? Right there. People detect. So this will allow you to focus like on a ring or something without getting annoyed that it's going to capture someone's face. So we'll go back to this. So that's how you basically dial that down. Yeah, that one right there. Okay, then next up, nope, that was the wrong one. Dual function. Okay. Yeah, so that does your focus point. That's what it is. Dual tone does your focus point. The other one, the next one, is this little manual function button. That's the one I use to toggle. So I set info. Okay, so yeah, if you go through this one, this will select people or not. So since I minimized my focus, AI focus detect or people detect, subject detect, then it allows me to just toggle between 2 instead of toggle between 5. So I don't toggle between animal, vehicle, and auto. I'm just toggling between those 2. This button has always been eye auto for me, so it just defaults to the eyes. These 2 are so close together on the side here, I just set them to AF off, and so I should change this one actually to that one. There we go. And so that way I just hold it if I want to make a panoramic. The new VCM lenses have it on the side, a button on the side to also set to that. So then in the front button, on the front of the camera, I have set to drive mode. So I can change between high speed and single shot for commercial, and then high speed or faster settings for moving people and things like that, blinking. Zoom is set to zoom. You could change that if you wanted. Rate color, I don't use that button. I could, would not hurt me to go change that. This one is generally set to eye on and off for me, but you can set this to whatever you want. I don't even know what this is. Yeah, stop. Oh, actually, that's kind of nice. So what this will do is it'll allow you to start tracking a subject. When you see a subject and you start focusing on it, it'll track that subject, say down an aisle or something like that. It'll stay on them as long as it can. Here, yeah, obviously set to move the thing around there. I also set this to a faster tracking speed. And then that's AF off, that's the lens button. And then I don't have this option on my flashes. So, okay, so there's that. Don't use this. Dials, I have front to shutter, rear to aperture. Then I have ISO on the rear dial, this one, the big one. And then I have this set down, means I have to hold down the shutter before the aperture will move. So the front command dial will be like an aperture ring. And it's got the clicks and everything, so it's great. I don't use the aperture rings on the VCM lenses because they just don't, I'll bump them. And they don't have any clicks to them. So, okay, I'm not changing any of this. Multifunction, I turn off touch screen. I'll turn it on for video. So if I'm not, with video, I'm generally not, it's in a rig or it's like on a tripod. So it's nice to be able to tap focus. And so multifunction lock, I don't change any of that. Don't need that. Okay, then next is, I don't use that. Don't use that. I set this sensitivity up so it moves the focus point around faster because I have zero patience for technology. And it's more intuitive that way for me. Customize playback buttons, I didn't do that. I have the top dial set to 10 and the back dial set to, this should be set to 1 at a time, not scenes. So that should be set right there. So 1 photo at a time, front dial, 10 photos at a time, which is really nice. Okay, and then touch control, disable. Okay, I don't mess with anything in here. Okay, what I might add here is like some of these subject detect tools or anything that I think I need to get to quickly. Yeah, we can add a tab. Okay, so select items to register. So I might go down to, see if I can find it quickly. Okay, sorry, I went through like 5 times. I found it. So I might turn on whole area tracking servo AF and then add that in there. So I have a quick way to access it. So here we go. Yeah, so that's the one. So this is the one that's going to make that focus point track everything. And at times it can be amazing and at times it can be annoying. I found these cameras to be pretty intuitive to what I want, but sometimes when you can't control your camera's focus system, it will drive you nuts. And so that allows you to have a little more control as a human being versus the focus system doing what it thinks you want it to do. So anyway, hopefully this is helpful. I will work on a review of a comparison between the R5 II and the R6 III because those are the cameras that I own. I do not own any others at the moment, but I'm sure that this camera will be super good for anyone who wants to pick one up, and probably a nice upgrade from the R6 II or whatever system you're using. If you're using an R5 original, also an upgrade in focus system and just controls, and just having this on off here for photo video and the on off here is just amazing, game changer. So cool, thanks for watching, and give me a thumbs up if this is helpful, and please do subscribe if it is helpful. That lets me know that these videos are something that you're enjoying and I should keep making them. So catch you later.